Hello and welcome back to Robot Wars. And in today's heat, we've got some old faces from the last wars, as well as some newcomers and one newcomer with a lot of combat experience. Let's jump down to the warzone and see the lineup. Coming up later, we'll be seeing Kronic II, seed number 17, taking on the Alien and Stinger. Tornado back again to take on TR2 and Windgrow. But first up, it's Razer, seed number 8 against Vulture, and highly fancied in the pits, the almighty Nexus. Razer Crusher. Returning from the last wars after a driving error saw them plunge into the pit and giving the victory to eventual runner-up Tsunami. The drive is the same as it was before, as is the crushing claw and wings. One of the most iconic machines in robot combat, especially its wings that take about a fortnight to put it back on its wheels. Vulture Spinner. A front wedge plate made out of hard docks with a spinning blade that can swing back and forth to defend it from both ends. The armor varies in thickness from 6 to 8 millimeters. The blade spins at 6,000 RPM, but there's no self-righting mechanism on the machine, and the wheels are exposed. Nexus Flipper. Looks like they want to add a new title under their belt, Champions of Robot Wars Series 2. Nexus comes to us from Antiweight Anarchy with the hopes of becoming our new king. Well, the low flippers should help them go far, although that is unless their own speed does them in.
Roboteers, stand by.
Razer with the crushing beak, Vulture with the drop saw blade, and Nexus with the flipper.
3, 2, 1.
Be interesting to see how well Nexus does in this competition. They did fairly well in Antiweight Anarchy. Razer here on the attack on Vulture, and up and over goes Vulture now. And they have self-righted. Interesting. I didn't think Vulture could self-right, but they can. Razer releasing the pit release button now on the attack on Nexus. In comes Vulture to get in on the action as well. And Nexus throwing over Vulture. And up on the side. And now out they go! That's the end of Vulture. They're out the arena. And I'm not sure if that was from a proper flip actually. Look at this again. It's as if the blade just clipped a part of the top weapon of Nexus. And that's what sent them out. I think that's what happened. Meanwhile, now Nexus on the attack on Razer and throwing them over, and this is great work here from Nexus. This is great work. Now, how will they? Is Nexus okay? I think Nexus are stuck on the angle grinder. Are they? I think they may just be. They have to be. They've been counted out. Razer wiggling and moving. And they too have been No, Nexus still mobile! So that's not the case! So, well, Nexus in on the attack on Razer again. This may actually have to go to the judges here. But Nexus, so far, are now grappling hold of Razer. They've dropped the flipper on top of them. And I should point out that's technically classified as pinning. And they cannot pin them in for long. Of course, Razer can't really self-right from that position anyway. They're trying to self-right onto an angle grinder. So, well, it'll have to go to the judges on that one. Both got counted out. But who were the more... What is Nexus? Time is over, Nexus. Calm down. A little bit... I don't know. A little bit overzealous there, I think, for Nexus. But the judges have come back. And they have come back and confirmed what I thought before. Nexus counted out and immobilized first before Razer. So Nexus fall into the Silver Rumble. Razer just scrapes through into the gold. Vulture sadly falls into the bronze. Next up, Tornado, Windgrow, and TR2. Tornado. Rambot. A very stunning and speedy exit in the first round Rumble last time before a free win in the Bronze Rumble, only to fall fast in the Death or Glory. Never got to see the interchangeable weapons last time, hopefully we will this time, and hopefully they won't get thrown into the air as much. Windgrow. Spinner. So So right off the bat, a very interesting name, and secondly, a very interesting machine. A 4-wheel drive box with a spinning blade that they can not only throw behind themselves to protect the rear, as well as be used to help right the machine back over, with the only minor issue being that it can cause damage to itself. How is that a minor issue? TR2 Flipper! Back again after a knockout from a machine they beat in the preliminaries. Not much has changed for TR2 since then. The Flipper is still as powerful as before with the real little axe head and side spikes combined with the quick 2-wheel drive. Only real issue for the team is the CO2 limit, and the Flipper doesn't really have much of a killer instinct. Yeah, I know. How can you have a powerful Flipper and no killer instinct in the same sentence? I have no idea, but this machine somehow does it.
Robot ears, stand by.
Tornado with the ramming power and the blade and engine weaponry. Windgrow with the weird weaponry. And TR2 with, again, the Flipper.
3, 2, 1.
Now TR2 will be able to exploit the ground clearance and does so on Windgrow, and Tornado takes advantage of that flip. Now, can TR2, we know TR2 gets self-right, there it is. Tornado hitting the pit release button. Windgrow spinning around madly, I think trying to stay out of harm's reach actually. Tornado being pressured and bullied by TR2 and flung into the air. There's a high ground clearance on Tornado, and into the pit goes Tornado. And down goes TR2. Well, maybe that was TR2 being nice to Windgrow, who knows. But there's the flip on Tornado into the pit, and then all of a sudden, they follow suit. Windgrow somehow goes through to the gold. Don't ask me how, but they have. Tornado into the bronze, TR2 silver. Next up, Kronic II, the alien, and Stinger. Kronic II Flipper. Back again from the last wars after a problematic encounter with PP3D before eventually falling in the death or glory to spawn again. They haven't really changed much, not like they needed to, as the machine was very effective, but then again that might prove to be its one true weakness. The alien Spinner. A box designed with a real wedge, armored and polycarbonate taken from old phone boxes with a spinning hammer and self-riding mechanism on top. The weapon will deliver the knocks in unison with its speed, but the self-riding mechanism isn't all that reliable, unfortunately. Stinger! Thwackbot! 2 wheels which house all the electronics with a giant swinging mace that slams down on the opposition as well as slam against opponents by spinning on the spot. The construction is very solid and it's an extremely tricky robot to catch, but all the electronics reside inside the big wheels, and the wheels are extremely vulnerable.
Robot ears, stand by.
Kronic II with the Flipper, the alien with the hammer bar, and Stinger with the thwacking mace.
3, 2, 1.
Or spike, or whatever you want to call it. Now there's smoke already coming from the alien, and that's going to be a problem for them. Here's Stinger, and there, I think that's the thing from the alien that was smoking, and now, up into the, oh! Well, Kronic needs to be careful. Meanwhile, Stinger, not seeing much action from them. They've been rolled over, and I'm wondering if Stinger has already conked out the alien. The weapon's not going up and over, and out goes Stinger, but look at this! Kronic up on their side! They can't self-right from there! And I think that was a nudge from the alien that did that! And they're being counted out! They're out of it! They're done! Well done, the alien spinning in the light! Well done, the alien through to the gold rumble! And what a shame for Kronic II, they seemed well on top for me, but there in the silver, Stinger conked out into the bronze, and the alien goes through to the gold, and this is how our 3 rumbles look. For gold, Razer, Windgrow and the alien, silver's Nexus, TR2 and Kronic II, and Vulture, Tornado and Stinger, they're first up in the bronze rumble.
Roboteers, stand by.
Vulture with the drop saw blade, Tornado with the brute force, and Stinger with the mace or spike or whatever the hell it is.
1.
Will they do better though, I wonder? While they're swinging around wildly, Vulture coming in to see if there's anything to do. Tornado pushing them away and slamming them into the pit release button. Now Stinger spinning just in the center of the arena. And I think there's smoke coming from Stinger, and I think that's what happened the last time. And I think that's what happened. And I think that is what's happened. They've burnt out. So Stinger are now immobilized and being counted out. Vulture being pressurized by Tornado. And this is very bad for Vulture. They're trying to come around or something. I honestly have no clue, but right now, Tornado is on top. Quite literally, actually. Oh, but that's a very good idea from Vulture to push Tornado backwards into the pit. Not enough, though. Tornado holding Vulture in the wall. So, who will be victorious, I wonder? Is Tornado... Okay, oh, Vulture, be careful. Don't drive into the pit, you lunatic. Eesh. Vulture... Tornado... Is Tornado okay? There's not much life coming from the spinning blade of Vulture. It has to be said. There goes the weapon swinging away. But there's no movement of the blade. Is there a problem with the blade, I wonder? Stinger on top of Tornado. Tornado now being pressurized by Vulture. This is interesting. Tornado pushing away at Stinger. Vulture now pushing away at Tornado. Who will be... Well, now Stinger stuck on the wheel. No way of really getting away unless someone does that. Tornado! Tornado's driven into the pit! Tornado in the pit. Vulture followed afterwards, but Tornado in the pit first. Vulture goes through to the death or glory. Poor driving there from Tornado. Vulture goes through. Now, Kronic II, you can see here on the battle board, they're seeded 17, but their battle card is seeded 14. And I'm being told by the Kronic II team that that's because Gnome 2 didn't feel like they deserved the 14th seed, so they had them switch around at the last minute before the battle cards were even drawn up. Don't know why, but alright, fine. But this is the Silver Rumble, Kronic II, the 17th seed, or 14th seeds, Nexus, and TR2.
Roboteers, stand by.
Alright, Flipper Frenzy, this Silver Rumble should be with Nexus, the former champions of Antweight Anarchy, TR2, and the 17th seeds, Kronic II.
3, 2, 1.
A lot expected from Nexus. Kronic II throwing over TR2, and Nexus now nearly throwing TR2 out the arena. Something's come off Nexus. There's the flip from Kronic II. Is TR2 okay? They're trying, and Nexus are on fire. And now Kronic II. What's happened there? And TR2 is throwing themselves out of the arena. What was the chaos here? TR2 now trying to self-right. There's no point. You're at the arena. Meanwhile, Nexus, I think, are completely immobilized. They're on fire. Kronic II stuck on the backside again, as will cause them problems in the preliminary fight. And I think it'll have to be Kronic II, because I think Nexus were just immobilized before Kronic II immobilized themselves. And there you have it. Confirmation, Kronic II, the 17th seeds, they go through to the Death or Glory. Nexus were well and truly immobilized. Such a shame to see them fall so early. Expected a lot more from them, to be honest. But now it's time for the Gold Rumble with 8th seed Razer against the newcomers Windgrow and the Alien.
Roboteers, stand by.
The Gold Rumble with Razer, the 8 seeds, the newcomers Windgrow, and the Alien. Which of these two will be better suited for Razer, I wonder?
2, 1.
Well, we'll find out soon. Razer immediately going for the pit release button because they know that these machines are tough. Something's already come off the Alien, and I think that's for the weapon. Meanwhile, Windgrow are having drive problems, as in they are not moving. The Alien trying to be aggressive on Razer, pushing them away. Meanwhile, Windgrow being counted out. I don't think there's any real life in Windgrow, sadly. Oh, but a good bladder from the blade. Meanwhile, Razer, down goes Windgrow into the pit. And now it's time for Razer to deal with the Alien. Don't knock the pit release button. It's already been pressed. What are you doing, Razer? And down goes the Alien. Well, I feel like Razer was just given this in the end. Nevertheless, though, Razer through to the Heat's final. Windgrow's got a lot of repairs. What happened to the Alien? Don't know what went wrong there, but the Alien drives himself into the pit. Windgrow's got to figure out what went wrong with their drive. But this is the death or glory. Vulture from the bronze, Kronic II from the silver, and the Alien Windgrow from the gold. Which one of these 4 machines will be joining Razer in the Heat final?
Roboteers, stand by.
Here we go, the death or glory with Vulture, the 17th siege Kronic II, the hammer bar of the Alien, and has Windgrow repaired themselves, I wonder?
2, 1.
Time will tell. Yes, they have! Now, Windgrow doing something to the Alien. The Alien's weapon seems to be working this time, and Vulture's weapon seems to be working too. Down goes the pit, there's smoke! There's fire! Where's that from, I wonder? I think, yes it is! It's the Alien! And that's what happens when you arm yourself in polycarb! You're bound to be taking major damage from a spinner! Like, that's kind of a no-brainer. There, Kronic II! Up on their backside! And I think that was sort of Kronic II's way of getting payback on the Alien. Not like it matters, there's the Alien Streamac! And now there's fire on Kronic II! That's because Vulture struck the underbelly of Kronic II, and Kronic II are very close to the edge of the pit. They've just survived it, but they will end up in there soon. And will Vulture, they've thrown themselves up on the side again, Kronic. And now Vulture to knock out Kronic II officially now. So Kronic II are done for. Meanwhile, the Alien lies very, very dead. And Windgrow, once again, something they did in the fight with Tornado and TR2, they're just spinning around on the spot. Whereas this time around they collide with the Alien. Oof. And there is Vulture taking a pounding. Self-rights though. I'm surprised that they can't self-right. Meanwhile, here's Vulture pushing the Alien into the pit. And now it's just Windgrow and the Vulture. And Vulture taking some serious damage. And you can see the damage. They've lost the wheel. One of the tires has gone completely off. So now they can only drive, well, in a circle, really. And they seem to be struggling driving forwards. They can do good. That's interesting. If the weapon is down, they have a much wider turn. Interesting. Windgrow now. Is there a problem with Windgrow? Have the batteries run out? I wonder. I think they may have. And now it's Windgrow taking damage. And there's Vulture tossing them over with their own weapon. I think that was a collision of their blade and Windgrow's. Poor Windgrow, though. Up and over. They can't right themselves. They should be able to, but I think they've lost battery power. And I think they've lost some major wheelage. So, wheelage, is that even a word? Might as well be, because now one entire wheel is missing. And Vulture, seemingly desperate to make it to the heat final to face the 8th seed Razer. There's another wheel gone from Windgrow. They're very desperate to make it to the heat final to show they can hold their own against Razer. Nexus showed they can hold their own against Razer. And now Vulture wants to show they can do the same thing as well. Can Vulture push Windgrow into the pit, I wonder? They are very much trying, but because of the damage, because they have lost one of their wheels, they cannot drive in a straight line. It has severely compromised their mobility. Now then again, at least they have mobility, unlike Windgrow. And Windgrow, there's no life in them. They are very much immobilized. They are out, and it's Vulture who goes through to the heat final to face Razer. Will they show Razer who's boss? Well, they've definitely shown this Death or Glory who's boss. Kronic II out, actually by the Vulture's hands. And this is our heat final though. Razer and the Vulture, they fought before in the first round. Can Vulture hold their own against Razer, or will Razer show them why they are the 8th seed?
Roboteers, stand by.
Here we go, the heat final. Razer, the 8th seeds. Vulture, the newcomers. Can Vulture pull off a major upset and knock Razer out of the competition?
2, 1.
Nexus nearly did that in the preliminary fight. Vulture already ramping up the side of Vulture, but now Razer brings in the claw. Razer releases the pit, because that's the only real tactic Razer has, especially against a machine with a weapon like Vulture's. The only thing they can really do is to lure them towards the pit, and Vulture now... Well, what was here? Razer nearly had Vulture in, and Vulture, for some reason, reverses into the pit of their own accord. So, that's the end of that. And it's Razer through to the series semi-finals. Poor Vulture. Hopefully, they can get a rematch next year. Our 8th seeds make it to the semis and are on the road to the grand finals again. Will they make it? Or will this be as far as they make it? We'll have to find out. But until then, take care, and I'll see you next time. Farewell.